These are the Lobster UWP175NA water pump pliers, and I'm hoping to replace my Knipex Cobras and my Knipex TwinGrips with these Lobster pliers. Let's compare them and see where each falls short. So let's start with the Lobster pliers. They actually do something that the other two don't, and that is that they have a wire cutter. So right here, right built in right there, you can see that they have a little wire cutter, and the wire cutter works pretty well. So here we have just regular 18 gauge wire, and works no problem to cut these guys. And then we have here some 14 gauge wire, and it's a little tougher to cut these guys, but it cuts them, no problem. The wire cutters is actually the main reason why I bought these. One day I was thinking, I wish that the Cobras had wire cutters, and I looked it up, I found these pliers. So this brings me to the first issue about the tool in general, is you can see that black paint on there, just from using them, is already chipping off. And you can see it's chipping off there, and my problem, I always have a problem with painted tools. The paint chips really quickly, it starts to look ugly quickly, which I don't mind using ugly pliers, but at the same time, there's a lot of other reasons why I don't like painted pliers, because it also makes the teeth of the actual plier itself bite less aggressively. Okay, so for example, it doesn't grip flat surfaces as well. If you look here, you can see that it is touching on 3 points, 1, 2, 3, right? So you'd think that it's a good solid surface, but when I have it out here, you can see I can actually rock it back and forth. And I'm squeezing as hard as I possibly can, and I can squeeze, I can rotate this back and forth from this leverage, right? If we go to the Cobras now and do the same thing, I can do it, I can still rock it back and forth, but not nearly as much. And I'm actually not even squeezing as tight. If I squeeze as tight as I can, it's much harder to move this. So again, because these don't have those painted teeth, it's much better. And same thing with our TwinGrips. In fact, the TwinGrips are the best of all of them, and that's because they're longer, there's more leverage and torque. Okay, so I'm gonna gripe a little bit more about the paint in a little bit. Before I do that, let's talk about the hand grips here. I actually really like these hand grips. They have a good amount of grip without getting caught on fabrics, and I really actually wish the company would just sell these grips individually. On a lot of my tools, I like to put heat shrink tubing on it to give it that extra grip, but if you look at the thickness of this, it's hard to find really, really thick heat shrink tubing that shrinks down to this size. So I actually really like these heat shrink tubings. The next thing that I really like about it is the retention hole. I think so many pliers could benefit from having these, so I love to see that. The next thing is, of course, we have our slotted screwdriver here, which I don't love having these slotted screwdrivers. If you open it up fully, you can really pry and have a much more comfortable handhold of it than when it's fully open. But I don't like these. I tend to put my pliers in the pouch like this, and I find that often I will cut my hand on the edges of these. So I don't like when they kind of try to add extra features to pliers by putting a flathead here. And here's a banana force scale. Please subscribe. Let's see how its screw removal function works. If we bring back in the TwinGrips, obviously this can handle much larger hardware. And you see here, there's some big teeth that look like they can really bite into something, whereas this has much smaller teeth. Because of the different shapes, this one being offset, you can get actually much closer to a wall and still twist without hitting your hands and your knuckles. Whereas if the wall's right here, and you got to get that screw right there, and you're trying to twist it, you're going to hit your knuckles. It's a little uncomfortable. That being said, if there's a wall that I can come straight in on, this is so much more comfortable and easy to use than trying to do this. The teeth seem like they're a bit more aggressive on the lobster because you have 4 big teeth there, but you can see here right in the center, it's just smooth, right? And on top of that, those teeth still have that paint on it, right? So let's kind of test these here. I have this 8 to 32nd machine screw that I lopped the head off of, okay? And I want to kind of test how they're going to work against each other. So as you can see here, when I put this in here, all 4 of those big teeth are making full contact with that, okay? And if you look here, the same thing is happening. It's making a lot of solid contact with all those little teeth, okay? So this is a very unscientific test, but generally speaking, right, I just want to see which one's going to slip first. And already I am slipping. This guy is slipping. You can see here, that bit is being chewed up on that edge. And you can hear it clipping. The Knipex TwinGrips, where they bit in, they stayed. Whereas the Cobras, they just marred up. They didn't really do a very good job of holding on to it. As a screw removal plier, these are going to have some issues and they're going to mar things up a lot. And I don't know if it's because the teeth aren't, there's not enough teeth, or if it's the paint, but at the end of the day, or maybe my test wasn't good. But at the end of the day, these do slip. Now, even though these pliers are bigger, they barely open up much larger. So let's move this over here. If I'm going to keep these open to an actual like shape that makes sense. So here are some nuts and bolts of different sizes. And I want to see how well these guys are going to grip it. I'm not going to worry about how well these guys grip this. If you want to see that, take a look at the review for this tool. So I'm going to put this aside. So you can see here when I grip this 1 7/16" nut, it's grabbing along one flat end and then securing the point on the other. So overall, gives a really good grip. When I go to the lobsters, not only is it securing the top part in that same grip, but the bottom is actually securing the corner a little bit too. So overall, there's a little bit more jiggle here, but it still grabs it really well. If we move over here, this is 1 1/4 inches, and at 1 1/4 inches, you can see that the Knipex is grabbing it really well. When I squeeze hard, there's no jiggle. It feels good. It's nestling the edges where more or less where you'd want it to be. So it feels good. Over here, the corners actually go right into the edges there, and it has a really good grip when I push hard. It feels really secure in these guys. If we look at how it's going to grip smaller bolts, we can see here it's in there really well. It's not going anywhere. And then with these guys, it again holds it really well. There's a little bit of play, but nothing that would stop you from being able to get this bolt out or in. And then finally, the smallest size, for smaller sizes, this doesn't work out very well. Now, being that this is a smaller tool, obviously it will work for the smaller sizes as well. And you can see here that this nut is in there nice and securely. Now, the Cobras have more adjustment teeth positions than the Lobsters. The Lobsters have 4, these ones have more, I'm not going to count them. That can be really handy when working with different size pipes. And mixed with the fact that there's no painted teeth on here and they're a little bit more aggressive, of course makes these incredible. Okay, so this is 3/4 inch pipe. You can see here I'm able to grab it very well with the Cobras, and then the Lobsters can grab it very well, but it's on its third, almost its biggest opening, right? So let's test real quickly here to see which one is going to slip. So already it's slipping. So maybe I'll go down to 2 and see how we go here. So with 2, I'm able to get a lot more strength put on there. Oh, but see what I mean? Like, so this one is still a great wrench. It is slipping because I don't have the best leverage because my hands are really far out front of me. And so as a result, I can't get the amount of strength that I can get out of my right dominant hand. But you can see how we're slipping. And also, if you look at how much more open this one is to be able to get the best bite into this, even if I go back down to this guy and try it again, right? It's going to slip. So on 3/4 inch pipe, it's a no-brainer. The smaller Knipex, they still win, mainly because they have better adjustment. I feel like if I could get this in between there, this one might bite as well almost. But again, it has those painted teeth that don't want to bite as strongly as that. So now, let's open these guys up. Okay, so now, here is 1.25 inch pipe, okay? And you can see here that when the Knipex are fully open, they are not biting. They're not biting like fully as much as you would really like to get them to bite onto this pipe. I wish there was a little bit more contact on both sides, but that's fine. You can see here on both sides, you're getting a lot of contact, and that's great. So again, we're just going to do a quick, these are very unscientific tests, but the reality is, again, this one is slipping. You can see it's marring the surface there. Let's see if I can bite into a better position. Maybe I'll have it closer to me. There. So again, these didn't slip once, and these did. And if we look at the teeth comparison side by side, you can see that this one is more aggressive, but it also has fewer teeth. And I honestly think that if this one wasn't painted, it would probably bite really well. But the reason this guy still is going to outperform this guy is because of our awesome ability to, when you have a latch, right, you can push on that and it's not going to go anywhere. So you can get as much torque as you could possibly can on here. With these guys, because they're just regular water pump pliers and they don't have the same feature, doesn't matter how much you lock them in there, you can't get that to stay, right? So again, you lock them in there, and I'm just doing this. I'm pushing as hard as I can here, whereas these guys, I can't even get them to stay. Because we can get these to stay like this, there's an awesome thing you can do by taking an offcut piece of bar and sliding it over top. So let's do that. So here, and because I'm further out, I have even more leverage. So even though these are smaller pliers, they can definitely outperform these a lot, right? So the lobster pliers can definitely do a lot, but they do fall short of the TwinGrips and the Cobras on just about every single comparison of the shared features. Okay, buying just the lobsters, that is cheaper than buying both the Cobra and the TwinGrips, right? So if you just need a general tool that will do all things well, and you need them to be smaller, these are great little water pump pliers. But if you need several specific tools that do one job exceedingly well, screw retraction and water pump pliers, these guys, simply put, you can't go wrong. They are way better than this. Now, maybe you don't need several specific tools that do one job exceedingly well. Maybe you just want this, and all you really need is this. In the end, it comes down to what do you need versus what do you want. And I find myself often conflicted in my own life with my wants versus my needs. Often I confuse my wants and my needs because it can feel really good to get what you want. I try to remind myself that a need is essential and a want is not. Thanks for watching.